Okay, good morning, everyone. This is Michael Venezia, head trader and co-coach, not to step on anyone's toes, at TradeView Markets. It's Wednesday. The CPI number came out July 12th. All right, you know what? The New Year, like Gordon Gekko would say, the playtime's over, business is business. That Happy New Year. Now it's a couple of weeks in, and I think it is. Well, whatever. I'm going to take it that way. It's not really. It's the 12th, but all right. This was the third day up, if you will. Now, I was one of the things that I was taught and learned and implemented and still do to this day is I'm a believer on a 3 day up and 3 day down situation. It doesn't mean I'm looking for any type of V type of turn or reversal. I'm not trying to say I picked the top or the bottom because probably in that type of third day down or third day up, if I am going to fade that move, majority of the time I don't get the bottom. I actually start building into it or trying to get a feel to it. Doesn't mean I have everything with the number threes. It doesn't mean if the Mets lose 3 games in a row, I bet against them. You know what I mean? It's a third day up thing. So listen, we had a night. Let's sign in the TradeGATEHub. Here we are, TradeView Markets. I sign in just the same as everybody else did. It's that easy. We made it that easy, so we can get back to it. Okay. Obviously, today being Wednesday morning, as I said earlier, the data that I put out Monday morning, I try to have and be dynamic. And I want to make a specific point going forward. And I'm trying not to look at the quotes here and get distracted. As a matter of fact, I'm not. And that's for a reason. Let's go back to Monday, which was Monday. Okay. So Monday we started as Helene. So that means we're coming Monday. Okay. So this is where we came in. By the way, keep in mind Goldman indicator and they came in light on Monday, and we've had what, a 6%, whatever, off the bottom rally off the NASDAQ, give or take, if you will. It's changing at the moment. So this was Monday. Now the whole key, I apologize. The whole key is to have an internal clock where you don't have to, it's almost like an athlete. For example, my father was a jockey. It's uncanny after doing it for so long, how they have an internal clock knowing that a horse going 40 miles an hour, he can go a minute between a mile between a minute 39 and a minute and 41 seconds. It's hard to do. And after that amount of time, you should be able to do it. So this was where we started Monday. And as well as we have to keep in mind that Goldman came in light. SPY gamma was low, meaning a lot of dealers had to buy back options, which exacerbated the moves to the upside. Let's always keep in mind that the NASDAQ starting off that Monday morning was, we'll go to the chart in a second, but the biggest moves are made on short squeezes and vice versa. The best moves are in consolidation in those type of, U-shaped patterns, if you will. So let's keep that in mind. All right. Now, the reason why I said that is, and I post it daily, and I'll go to today. And when I saw that the indices where they closed, this is the third day up. And Monday we had a 2%, whatever, low, 3% off move off the low. Tuesday was an update. The CPI was announced this morning, and we opened up nicely. And it was the third day up with the fade. It may or may not work. It's what I was taught to do. It actually did work. So I'll get to it in a second. But I'm still going to buy the dip. It was a fade. It doesn't mean once again, this is we're here to take money out of the market and being an active manager. You know what I mean? That's what we do. I'm not giving you things in the speculative account. I'm not even putting, adding to anything in the TradeView long-term account. I really don't like things right here. I like what I have, but I don't like where they are. So the bottom line is this. Coming into a 3-day move up, I thought we would be a lot higher in market sentiment. So a professional, if you will, that has an internal clock, and I'm allowed to say that, I have no shame in it. I thought we would be a lot higher, which means I thought we would have a lot more to go. So when I looked at the SPY gamma exposure, we still have a little bit more. By the way, correlate the gamma exposure. Every time we're low, we go up. Every time we're low, we go up. Every time we're low, we go up. So we're still low. We still have a little room to go up. Okay. So this is the S&P sentiment, right? Right now we're unchanged. So the NASDAQ, after that 3-day move from Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I thought we would be up here. So that's why by the way, we're down on the NASDAQ as we speak. So we're probably even lower. Now, by the way, this was the 3-day up, and I'd be a little bit leery about buying this third day, this dip on the third day up. And by the way, the data has never been more important than ever. I see as I'm looking at the screen, the correct stocks are also going lower, meaning a lot of the staples and the cyclicals. General Motors is down $1.70. Yeah, a couple of oils are coming in, and I'll get to it in a second. Yeah, it was a bad give up today. But we'll have to look at the volume because you know what? If it was a give up on light volume, that's bullish. But by the way, we also have to keep in mind that Goldman is also light and they're underinvested. So we'll keep it there. Treasuries and crude sentiment. That's why I like the crude fade a little bit. I thought it would play more to the rotation. It is to a degree now. By no means is anything collapsing. And you know what? Maybe as we look at these sentiment indicators, like this is important too. This is important to where when I put money to work. When I see the sentiment indicators as we speak right now, which are hedge funds and the Goldman indicator where the big money is. I mean, I'm not talking about an algo scalp, if you will, and bear with me, I'll get to it because it's worth seeing. It's just I put a lot of data, but it's important data. All right, hedge fund equity exposure. Okay, this is where hedge funds sit with exposure. They're not a believer yet, and maybe that's because there's a complacency in the VIX. The VIX is still breaking. It's almost at an all-time lower. We'll get to that in a second, not to be redundant. So nobody feels like they're missing out on anything. It was getting pretty good for active trading, but I've been saying it all last week and a couple of days this week. You know, you don't want to be stuck in anything because if they're stuck with the VIX, there's no reversals there and no outs. It's just going to be bleeding. I'm bleeding in a couple now. All right, let me get back to it. So when hedge funds are underinvested, and this is going back to Goldman, this is a Goldman Sachs indicator. We're going back to September 2020. That's a pretty big sample. They're the lightest ever, so they don't even know what to do. Like I said before, the right stocks are rotating as we speak, but you know it's an hour. It's 11 o'clock, 11:10 Eastern. We're 2 hours into a trading day where you know what I say it all the time. And I do mean it when it comes to even short-term money being put to work, but how we close today will probably be indicative even in the intermediate term. It's a good chart by Helene right there. Let me get back to more data before I get to charts. Okay. This is where we were. I thought we were right here. I'll take questions in a second for anybody so it doesn't, I don't miss anything. All right, so let's start where I went today, what the plan was. Tony Pistachio, it's still freezing. He's in there. Okay. Sentiment now. Now, once again, when you're in a bearish market, and you know what I mean, my mom might not think so because the Indo is near the high, and so does the Nasdaq, if you will. But when we say every day that maybe it's fluctuating between 40 and 50% of the majority of stocks, at least on the Nas, are down 50% of their highs. And I'm not talking about low floaters. I'm still talking about TTD, which is negative. Square, we're in catch a bit today. PayPal is still down 5. So we're being smart. They're avoiding some PayPal. Listen, I think it's close to being I don't want to say bottom, but it's getting a little, it's getting overdone. Let's just put it that way. All right, SPY gamma exposure, treasuries, sentiment. And this was the problem. Even with the market having a nice couple of days, all the sentiment is still overheated. Financials are overheated. Basic materials overheated. The oil producers were overheated. I probably could have faded a better sector today just on a rotation alone. But so even with even though I know the market had right now it's changing as we speak, a little bit of a pullback, but even with a 3-day rally, some of these sectors are still a little bit heated. So it's got to take some rest. And like I said, the majority of these stocks that are broken, it's going to do one of two things are going to happen. If it's both, then you're lucky. It's either going to take a precipitous geopolitical or major move, probably financial in terms of rates, to make something happen, or major news in a stock in one of the sectors. And by the way, every type of news right now is being sold as evidence on Adobe, or evidence is on Facebook, or all upgrades are being or all upgrades right now are opportunities to sell. And you know what? When we had a 3-day rally like we did in a stock like AFRM went from 72 to 80, but still well below the moving averages. I know if I was down 8% and I had a nice pop like that on the books, I want to take some off as well. And that's why they're pulling back a little bit. It's a nice move off the bottom. Some people are still down 20, 25%, but an 8% move in 3 days or 2.5 days is good to take a little bit, even a loser off the table. We've done the same ourselves. And by the way, we've saved ourselves a lot of problems by doing it. Once again, I'll get to the charts in a second. Always upgrades and downgrades. Jim Cramer, here it is. And he posted it this morning, PayPal crunch time. You can say PayPal was a best of breed or is not best of breed, but right now it is a barometer. Because if a stock like this and everybody owns it, Josh Brown was on TV yesterday on CNBC, I'm owning it, it is crunch time. And you have to take these things into consideration, because with Jim Cramer isn't the judge and the jury, but he's one that can drive sentiment. And it's driving my sentiment. And you know what? It's down $6 today. And it's helping with sentiment as well. Daily scans for the active trader, always good. Let's go to some more posts. Good morning, Rich. All right, I wanted to say a couple of things. What did I say? A couple of trades and what I did this morning. Like, you know what? We might as well get to the videotape, as Warner Wolf would say. Let me take a, you know what? I'll leave it up here. Who cares? Is there momentum building in a REIT? Good question, Lewis. Another good question, Lewis. You know what? It pays a dividend. I don't. Is it? Well, let's look at them. Let's look at some REITs. Hold on. Let me go to my ancillary REIT page. MAC. Public storage, I guess, is considered a REIT. You know what, Lewis? If you're looking for, I'm going on a divergence. If you're looking for a REIT, I would rather go with a higher paying equity, and go to the equity. Let's go to the. Hold on a second. I don't know which pays the highest dividend now. After 15 years basically of having all Alcoa it took me so long to take General Motors and Alcoa off my screen, and I'm trying to do dividend stocks. It took me so long finally putting these. They call me a boomer for the last 10 years, and now I'm back in vogue because I'm putting AT&T back on my screen. So instead of a REIT, what pays the highest dividend? I'm in trouble when I'm going to Yahoo Finance for a dividend stock. I apologize. Hold on. A little bit of Motley Fool. Those guys are right. So go to what pays a high dividends. ABBV, that was been on my buy list for a long time. EPD, not sexy. MPW, Trust. Verizon, that's you, Lewis. You're all over Verizon. Go to Verizon. Verizon on a dip instead of a REIT. Let me get back to what else is going. So let me back what I did today. So keep in mind, third day up. So let me go to charts. Like I said, by the way, this is where the VIX closed yesterday when I knew, if you would have told me that the VIX is showing this much complacency where stocks are doing, which means it just edifies the fact that these money managers aren't scared. All right, so Chevron so why don't we buy it's not that they want to go into growth. Maybe Goldman or high frequency. I would rather buy Chevron on a dip than buy. Let's look at our PayPal, for example. My Lord. You know what I mean? The NASDAQ has made this move off the bottom. That's huge. And PayPal went the other way. How did Adobe do? That right now is driving things. Adobe's still heavy. AFRM. So you know what? This was the third day up. I had this AFRM, but I sold it because this is all overhead resistance, which is stock that I just had a tactical trade because when I started the trade, it was $102. I looked down the third day down, if you will, went from 102 to 80. So it went down $22 in 3 days. I'm in it. You know what I mean? On volume. I'm not saying I'm gonna pick the bottom and going back to 130. To pick the bottom stuff is stopped and it ended. Let's go to some more charts. Let me tell you what I did today. All right, Ethereum. What's that doing? I haven't looked. All right, we're up nicely in that. Let's go to TradeGATEHub for a second. If I'm going too long, well, I'll get. Okay, I have to go to TradeGATEHub. I didn't post many trades, but they were good trades. All right. These are not aggressive. JD negative. I shorted some FUTU at 47.24. Let's go to FUTU. And that was because, by the way, the move in these Chinese stocks, this player was huge. JD had a nice move, but when I saw Baba go negative this morning, it's up now, buying the dip. So I shorted some FUTU, 47.24. So I shorted right here. I think I covered it there, but that went to 45. What else on TradeGATEHub? Good trade. It was more of a point. PayPal down 4. Can't hold a bid. Dip the buy now. Shorted some Ether over 30, and I got it. So where did I short Ether? Very simple. Same principle on a third day up move. And you know what? I don't know if the algo's figured it out yet. I'm being facetious. But third day up from Ethereum, and I had it off the low. If Rich could remember, I sold it poorly. 23.79 to 30. I'm making a move, and it had both 200-day resistance and the 8-day. So it had the longest term resistance, and the red is by the 8-day. I go red, white, and blue after America. Red is the 8-day. The white is the 20-day. The blue is the 50-day, and the green is the money. So if I usually have a whatchamacallit, a key here, a legend, but that's how you know red, white, and blue, 8-day. So it had the long-term resistance, 200-day, and short-term. So it's set up nicely. So that's why I said I'm shorting some Ethereum at 30. So where were we today on Ethereum on the trades? All right, the reds are my shorts. I started right here. My first trade was 29.87 in the morning, a small piece. Get out of here. Then that here that the what do they call it? Reverse head and shoulders. So I averaged down to approximately 30.30. Where is it now? So 29. Now what am I going to do with the trade from here? All right, I can't do. It wasn't that hard of a trade. Good trade because I was aware and I had a plan. But let's look at a week and what I'm going to do with it. All right, there's a gap at 28.40. Another one here and another one here. Maybe I'll take some off now. Whatever. Next. Okay, what else did I do today? Shorted COP. COP. Why did I short COP? Okay. By the way, I didn't think I was picking the top. It wasn't the all-time trade. I think I shorted a couple of thousand shares. I started early. It tossed me around a little bit. I concluded it was a bad short. I didn't really say, like, I didn't get stubborn with it. I took some money off the table. This is where I played around with it. I finally, shorting is the red. I took a chunk off from 84.20 to 83.40. Nothing to shake a stick at. I shorted some more here. And right now, I'm going to cover it, as a matter of fact. What is this going to be? Buy. Live trading here at TradeView. Buy 1,200. You'll see it go by.
Partially filled.
Okay, we'll take it. Have a nice day. So next, COP. We took a little bit of money out. Next. What else did I do? You know what? FCX I had long overnight. And I made good money at like $5,000. And I started selling it pre-market because I wanted to sell the number before the number. Pardon me. I couldn't figure it out. Couldn't figure out why it was up. And that's the well, by the way, that's always a good sign. If you can't figure out why something's up, it's always a positive. That means news is coming that you probably don't know about. But I took money off the table because I wanted to take money off the number. And I felt like the putts, for lack of a better term. Now I'm looking, okay, this is where I took it off. What else did I fade? I didn't like the fact that this didn't hold. DraftKings. This is people picking the bottom here. What else did we do? Plug. All right, so you know what I mean? I could have sold it a lot sooner. Yesterday's high. I can't complain about taking money off the table. Coach would be happy about this. It was 26.03. It turned around, it's 24.50. Let's look at Hood. All right, I think the majority I sold was right around here. If we look at that line, 16.50. So it went to 17.50, but today it's 6.16. It's still 50 cents on 25,000. I got to move on. Let's look at my main screen. There's a lot of reversals. The VIX is doing nothing right now, which shows me that I might even want to be buying the dip. 17.30. Hold on. SDGR, Overstock, BLI. STNE, I didn't feel it bad. The high this morning, 18.25, 17.20. That pulled back $1. I don't feel bad about buying label. These poor guys. I'm not even going to take a position in yet. I thought about taking a position in XBI yesterday. but it's just, I'm not, you know, I like the volume it's doing. I just think I would like it to, I'm not going to buy it yet. I'm not buying the XBI yet. General Motors, when I say the right ones went down, that's got support that went down today. AT&T, Lewis, what's that doing today? AT&T, they're giving us a problem. You know what I mean? What are you going to do now? I mean, it turns into you want to build a position into a position trade now. You know, buying 10,000 at the market and watching as the day trade is not thing to do. S, I don't feel that bad. Yeah, okay. So there we go, coach. You're gonna appreciate this. My average sell was what, 47? Yeah, 47. All right. So it went to 50. Now it's lower than when I sold at 46 cents to 88 S. I kind of like it on a dip, but you know what? That's certainly not something I'm BROS was another one. I felt bad. I was buying it here at the proverbial triple bottom, coach. It actually held, it retested. So I sold it at 47, went to 50. Now it's back to where I sold it. So I can't be worried about it. So now what are we gonna do going forward? This being, let's look at the indices. You know, I'll even show the page. When am I sharing my screen? This is the active account share screen. All right, this is the main page for today. FUT, or we could have been somebody. Coke. Zim was a good short. You know what? I'm also going to do this. I'm also going to share the chart. Those are my positions right now. They're light. This is what I trade today. LAC, I came in shorted, by the way, and I made a good save. But I made a good save in LAC. I'll show you. I took a loss right off the table. I said it was a headache. By the way, this was the problem of me taking LAC overnight. I hope you can see this. At this, yeah, I was early. The third day up again, 25 to 31. So I'm interested, you know, in especially this day down here that when it was breaking low, it didn't capitulate. It really wasn't making much volume. So I was early. I took it overnight like a Weisenheimer. And let's look at the trades today. The short. I got out of it okay. So I was short. Come on. I was shorted a little bit overnight, and I added to it. So I shorted, obviously, the red. I came in shorted overnight, as I said before. So I shorted more this morning at 31.70. So I started right here, by the way, let's say that 31.12. And I covered more at 30.77. So I had 6,000 shares. I was down $1.50 in it. So I put my ego aside. It was the third day up. Let's get back to it again. I should have waited for the red, white, and blue. That's the 50-day. I didn't think it was going to reverse again. I should have waited the 50-day because, as everybody knows, the 50-day is the one average that I like shorting against resistance. And by the way, that's not my opinion. That's what I learned from a good short. So I took it. So when a stock goes from 31.60 to 30.74, I'm taking some off. So then it rallied up again. I shorted a little bit more, and I took it off, shorted more right here, 31.50, covered more 30.89. So if I wasn't, you know, if I didn't go against a little bit of a principle, 6,000 shares, it's still up 34 cents a day. I probably would have made $8,000 instead of going down to one. But I learned, I took a little bit of a loss. I got my eye on it. I think the trade is over, if you will. Visa, Lewis? Good question again. I'm not this, you know, it's a good question. Visa, this is what I learned in my previous firm, Schoenfeld. It's what they call, it's a no man's land. You know what I mean? It's like the GLD chart was, which Coach and I were talking about this. Hold on, watch this. It's kind of, well, actually GLD, that's a daily now. We're changing our tune on that one as of yesterday. But, you know, MasterCard, Visa, Capital One. Let's look at the rest of the credit cards as we're going through the group. And don't be dismayed because these are expensive. $10,000 of DFS is the same as $10,000 of something else. A little extended, Capital One. I mean, if they offer to give me a credit card, that's bearish, so I wouldn't. I'm only kidding, but they do. I would go after MasterCard, and even it's a $300 stock. It's even algo thick. You know what I mean? Let's go to the 5-year or the 5-year chart on MasterCard. Yeah, it's a spot. You know what I mean? You want to build into it. You know, it's a little bit. You're prone to macro news at this point. It's just not, you know, everything going forward. And let's just buy dips and buy. It's not that type of market right now. Let me get to some other charts, if you will. All right, the market made a nice step back. You know what? Ethereum, no problem. I told you we should have taken some off there. That's okay. What we should have done is been buying the Qs and put a bid in because, as I said, we want to buy the Nasdaq more. Where are my charts now? We want to buy the Nasdaq more. So where's the Qs? Well, the TQQs are what I trade, and they're a little bit more aggressive. But let's look at the QQQs and what's going on here. All right, so they pressed against red, white, and blue. They pressed against the 20-day and the 50-day. The 50 days, well, to a degree. Now it's you got to be tactical. You just got to be. Now this is where the sentiment we talk about is more prevalent, because as the sentiment, as the Nasdaq sentiment should be around, the Nasdaq it should be around here now. So you obviously want to be shorting a little bit of rally, but you also would be wanting to, I think the money has been made for the CPI is out. The money's been made for the day. It's like I said, it's only January 12th. Coach says you're not going to make it or break it this year or even today. See how they close. You know what I mean? Is it this decent enough movement? You know what I mean? AFRM. Let's look at this thing. I love trading these stocks. 80.5 to 81.60. Now this one, let's look at a weekly now. 15-minute chart. This is getting interesting to me. No, you know what? Now it's not. It's not. Scratch that. DWAC, though. We like that one. Why is this not holding? Lebu, SE, Jimmy, Coles, I was short. Look at Coles. What a bad trade. All right. Now we look at Coles. That was my bad trade of the day. My bad trade of the day on Coles, because I could have made some good money. And this is where I covered it. The last cover, 48.75, 47.67. Now, as we say, I apologize, Mom. I'm pissed. Macy's, I look at. All right, Macy's had a good range. I could have traded these actively if I was on point. Once Macy's broke the low of the day or went unchanged, 26.7. It's not a barn burner. Let's look at the Crocs. I got an opinion on that yesterday. I think I was wrong short term, but I might be right longer term. It's holding nicely, Crocs. There's Nike, best of breed. Still broken. That's interested. Let's look at our universe over here. Etsy. Look at Etsy. Chewy. Put our ego aside and took the loss on Chewy when we had our chance. Weekly on Chewy. High of 130, now 40. Cut into a third. Is that a third? 4.812. Third. Down a third. And I ordered it yesterday for Tony P. They should be giving me more discounts, though. The freaking prices haven't come down, but that's the supply side, I think. Chewy, next. Okay, Delta Airlines, Oxy. What's Conoco doing? See Conoco. I think we covered it correctly. This is probably where, am I going over? You guys, am I getting the gong? Conoco. All right, we covered it okay. Made its move. All right, so let me get by to what's moving today, what's active. Bear with me. Any questions? Lewis is asking about a REIT, and that's dangerous. I don't know if that's bullish or bearish. I have to let that sink in if Lewis is going safety. That might be the bottom. No disrespect, Lewis. I'm serious. Hold on a second. I mean, if you were asking me about Nevada a couple of days ago in Penn, and that to me was, and by the way, you were right. I think they held. At least Penn held yesterday. Ugh, Penn. All right, let's go to what's going on today. The big list, because we're only interested at this point, or else I'd be hypocritical, which I'm not, in what's moving today, because as an active manager, let's go to the top page. All above moving averages right away, right here. These are the ones that are proverbially overextended. FCX, that's why I punted. Okay, but we care about relative volume leaders. Jeffries. This is interesting because that's a broker. What's going on with Jeffries? This is a macro news. This is interesting. In the old days, you know what? It's not. Let me tell you, this is Jeffries. Only 3 million shares holding. When I see a stock down 10%, it's more of a, I know it, Jeffries. So there's only 3 million shares. Move has been made. If it breaks resistance, this is not something. If it goes into a bear market move, it's going to be a bear market move like this, but the other way. but I'll take a note. No big deal. Next. Okay. Relative volume. Dish. PHG that announced bad news. IMX, DWAC reversed is, even though that's strong. Coal, Lilly had bad news. BDTX, no interest. PVG, no interest. APR, no interest. Rio, macro news, macro. This is real relative volume. By the way, these have decent volume is 11:30 Eastern. LC revert. Oh, that was up. What's near the high? Cares. Fold. Good volume. Let's look at fold on the chart before we show the family. No interest. And this is why I say no interest. Where's the share here? New share. Fold. No interest. Okay. Not interested in fold. UNG Natural Gas, Boston Scientific. All right, but you know what? This tells me that there's a larger problem, Ed, because if we go to what's down on the day, PTLO, bad sign, Splunk, macro news, Intel should be down. GLBE. See this GLBE? Let's go to the videotape. I had this overnight. Sold it. This was a sale. I thought this would keep continuing. So look at today's parameters. I'll tell you where I sold it. Apply, okay. Today. Sold GLB, that's my sale. At 49.90, I made like a half a point on it. Went to 51.20, but it's 48. Let me look at the 2-day. By the way, it's an Israeli stock. One of these sexy things. I tried to get fancy. Could hold 47, but move is over. Not that much volume. Next. But I did have it overnight and I sold it well. You have to move on sometimes. So there's a problem. Big lots, Beam, Globe, Abbott Lab, ZI reversed badly. So some of these things, ZI went back through, made a move from 49 to $10 move. And now it made a $5 move off the high. It broke the 200-day issue. There's an issue. What a move. 459 to 54 in a thick stock. Cool stuff. The line in the sand. 54, 55. Moves over. Let it settle. What else? Hubs, General Motors, CF was up $1.50 today. You know why I didn't short it? I'm going to tell you why. Because of this. This was up $2, Moss. Speaking of Chai Girl. It's still up $1. So I saw Moss was up $2 at one point. High was what? Yeah, it was up 2. It's up $1.01. You know what? Let me do something here. Change fonts. Font size. We got to go to bold. Let's go to 17. Apply so that people can see it more, okay? The high on Moss was 41. And I thought CF was getting a little heavy. And it should have been on the chart. It was. And it had that channel. So I'm saying, you know what? I need something. I'm a little bearish on the fade, like I said, the SPX. So I wanted to short CF. And I probably should have shorted it right here that, when it doesn't break out and does that head and shoulders at 70. Now it's 7. Now it's 67. Look at that, huh? Moves over, but next. All right, let me finish up here. I'm going a little bit overboard. Let's look at the sexy page. Not to be dramatic. AREC. Not bad. No interest. Fold was on our list before. X Pro. Okay, let's moving. What has volume in the last 10 minutes? So AEO, a retailer, is bouncing with volume a little bit. Kohl's is bouncing. See, this is what I use for. Kohl's is bouncing a lot of bit. Path, thank God, is bouncing a little bit. Labu. All right, they're putting a little bit of a bottom. Short term. This is what I'm looking at. Path, Labu, Path. I sold some nicely yesterday. 39.75. It broke 40 again. Still not bad. Still not making new lows. Hold on. So I'll wrap it up and we'll go back to TGH. Because you know what? We're here to communicate and give you trades throughout the day. Twitter people stuck. Yeah. You know what, Lewis? Good question again. I'm going to tell you why. No gong for the audience. Thanks, Rich, again. See that? People helping people in confidence. Lewis, I want to answer your question. That's because it's a courtesy thing, but your questions are freaking getting better and better. And I'm going to give it to you a second as I go to my other Twitter feed. Let's go to Jim Cramer for a second. And I didn't buy Twitter yet. And I got my eye on it for that very reason. Bear with me. This is Jim Cramer's feed, by the way. You know what? And when you say people are stuck, you're right, Lewis, because like I said at the beginning, the cat, if Twitter right now, had a $4 move, wouldn't you? And you're stuck in it $10, wouldn't you sell some to take it off? You would. And that's why sometimes, contra trading these stocks, you try to catch a little bit of a squeeze or a tactical move. Hold on. He is talking about Twitter. Bear with me. Is that I'm not so keen on catching those bottoms anymore because of that overhead resistance. He says it right here. Hold on. Looking, this was a couple of days ago. Jim Cramer, he's working on fixing Twitter harder than I thought. So you know what? Let's go to the chart. And once again, he's not the judge and the jury, but I got my eye on it. I don't think you're going to miss anything. As we get, this is the chart. I'll teach everybody to learn how to trade options. By the way, I'm an average options trader. I'm learning myself. Trust me. I mean, I've been doing trading actively as equities for 26 years. I'm still learning. So think about the long way we go to how to trade options. Hopefully not to sound corny, we'll learn together. But, Twitter, what are you going to do? Maybe it bases throughout that 40. You know what I mean? It's got to have a catalyst. Either the market has to have a major move, and the market's made a major move, at least for the NASDAQ, and it's stuck under the weekly. It needs a catalyst. And by the way, it scares me that Twitter was once on sale before, $20. And I think I'm using it more than ever. And it's just, you know what I mean? I'm not going to be upset if it gets taken out. You know what I mean? I don't know what to say about it. I got my eye on it, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Snap is Snap. Look at the other ones in the group. Nobody's missing anything on Snap. Even if you want to go by other, what's a Pins doing? That can't hold the upgrade. You know what I mean? So Pins made a move from 32 to 34. And if you're buying it last week, you're like, all right, let me get out, just like I was Hood. So in a lot of these stocks, these growth stocks, and you're going to either need a major, major catalyst, or it's going to take time. And you know what? When the VIX is down here, you can have a slow bleed. That's what happens. But I'll leave it at that. So tune in later. You know what? You want to go to the stock page, go here. It's what I'm going to do right after I get off, because I want to know how our program is working, and it's working very well. And I'll leave everybody there. You know what? I'll leave one more thing about the option flow, because you know what? They're smarter than all of us. Apple bullish, Spice bearish, Apple bullish. They're going to Apple. Looks like the wave dudes are looking for a bearish. Okay, this is the LA wave signal. Maybe it goes up to what? What is this? The ES 4760? The next LA wave. By the way, the LA wave's been working. I've been watching that too. Chewy down 5%. We mentioned that before in the telecast. So you know what I mean? The squeezometer. That even the market is a little bit overbought right now. So I like the NASDAQ on a dip for tactical trades. You know what the sentiment is. I don't think you're going to get that V-shaped reversal. I was a little bit wrong on some of them, but you know what? Like I said, I'm happy. Like I wasn't here to micromanage it, but I didn't exactly like the tremendous volume in AFRM, and I'm not too upset that I sold it. At 85. Now it's 81. Where is it today? It did hold, didn't it? No, I don't like this. You know what I mean? What are you going to do? So cheers, everybody. We'll be back after lunch. I appreciate the questions and the communication. Thanks to everybody in the room. Focus, have a plan. Thanks again.